Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we will be doing a get ready with me for church. So, what am I reading at the moment? At the moment, I have just started reading a book called Truth and Reality by Otto Rank. So, Otto Rank was a junior Freudian who developed something called will psychology. And will psychology, it's basically, he talks about, he contrasts the negative externalization of the will with the creative will. So obviously the negative externalization of the will results in like denial and guilt, whereas the creative will activates a person's creative potential. So that's basically the basis of his will psychology. Yeah, I've only just started it, and it's a very challenging book, but it's pretty good so far. I've also been still listening to a lot of testimonies. Like I think I said in a previous video, I've been listening to heaps of testimonies of people's testimonies of like how they came to know Jesus. Like some of them are near-death experiences where people have died and gone to either heaven or hell, and then Jesus often like comes to the rescue and saves them, or just like other stories of people's encounters with Jesus Christ and like how they came to know him. So a lot of I've been listening to one channel in particular, well actually two channels in particular, Touching the Afterlife and also Delafe Testimonies. So I'm literally obsessed with testimonies at the moment, like with people's testimonies about how they came to know Jesus. And I've listened to some really good ones. Like the other night I listened to this one by this man named Wyatt. And so Wyatt was like very deeply into the demonic. Like he started smoking heroin when he was in the 9th grade, and then he started seeing demons, and then he started like fornicating with demons. Like he was having sex with demons, and because the demons would like disguise themselves as beautiful women, because demons can disguise themselves as whatever like would be visually pleasing to you. So he just got like addicted to having sex with these beautiful demons. And then one night this demon came to him and he said, and he was like on heroin, and by this time he was like shooting heroin and meth, and this demon came to him and said like, actually the Bible, like they changed it. Actually Jesus is the bad one and Satan is the good one. So now repeat after me. And he was like, Jesus is the bad one and Satan is the good one. And then he like started, the demon started like tickling his brain, and he started like climaxing, and he called it a defilement ritual. So that like opened him up to even more of the demonic. But then eventually he was saved by Jesus, and now he makes all these TikToks where he's like, he like goes to shopping centers and just like starts yelling out like, guess what everyone? Jesus died for your sins. Jesus died for you and he loves you. And he just goes around shopping centers like yelling this out and filming himself, and also like praying with homeless people. And his TikToks make me laugh so much. Like, bless his heart and soul, because he seems so genuinely repentant, and like it's really sweet but also really funny that he's like going around yelling out about Jesus in shopping centers. So I've become like slightly addicted to watching his TikToks. But then there was another one by this lady, this black lady, who she was a luxury jewelry, like a luxury retailer in Atlanta, and she became like really greedy and like addicted to money and also addicted to sex. And then so she like became like the best in her field in Atlanta basically, but then she like wanted more, and so she moved to New York to try and, because she was like, well, if I've made it to the top of my field in Atlanta, then now I want to move to New York. And so she moved to New York, and then but then like when she was in New York, she started like, she wasn't making it there, she was actually like failing, and so she got really desperate. And then these guys came in, and they were like criminals, and they suggested to her that she like help them with pulling off this credit card fraud. So she was so desperate for the money and like for the sale that she agreed to do it. And so she sold these watches to them with like fake credit cards, but then she got caught and she got arrested at work, and then she found out that her office was charging her with like grand larceny. So then she was in jail, like waiting for, she got a call from her lawyer saying that she was going to be charged with grand larceny, and her lawyer was like, I suggest that you go in and hand yourself into the police station this Thursday. And then Jesus came and saved the day, and she encountered Jesus, and he was like, don't worry, like this will be fine. And because like she was suicidal at this point, and Jesus was like, don't worry, like I'll save the day, I'm Jesus. And and so she went to hand herself into this police station, and then she found out that they had changed her charges. They had upgraded her charges from second-degree grand larceny to first-degree grand larceny, which meant that she was basically definitely going to jail. And so she like broke down the prison cell, but then Jesus came into the prison cell and he was like, guess what? Everything's going to be fine. I'm here to save the day. I'm Jesus. And he like told her that she wasn't going to go to jail. She was going to get released with no bail. And then when they took her in to face, like to go to court and face the trial, she said to her lawyer, like, guess what? I just met Jesus. And she was like elated and like smiling and like couldn't stop smiling because she just met Jesus in her prison cell. And she was like, guess what? I just met Jesus. And everyone was like, shut up, you're going to jail. And then she told her lawyer that like Jesus told her that she wasn't going to jail and she was going to get out with no bail. And her lawyer said, well, that's impossible because they've just upgraded your charges from second degree to first degree grand larceny, so you're definitely going to jail today. And then when she was standing in the courtroom while they were reading out her charges, the prosecutor was like going to town on her, telling her, like saying that she was an awful person and all of this. And she went to like hang her head in shame, but then she heard Jesus say, don't you dare, like keep your head up high. And so she did. And then the judge asked, like, does she have any family here? And her mom raised her hand. And then after, like, she was meant to be going to prison for grand larceny. Oh wait, but then she also, while she was waiting outside the courtroom, she saw Jesus again. This part made me cry, like this part made me weep. So she saw Jesus and he was wearing a purple robe and he was walking into the courtroom holding a stack of papers, carrying a stack of papers into the courtroom. And then when she actually went into the courtroom and they were going to sentence her, and it was meant to be like serious prison time for first degree grand larceny, the judge said, does she have any family here? And her mum raised her hand, and then the judge just said, like, release no bail. And he hit the gavel and released her without bail. So she just got off completely because of Jesus. Isn't that the most beautiful story you've ever heard? I cried so much at that part where she saw Jesus walking into the courtroom with a stack of papers. Yeah, so I've just been obsessed at the moment with listening to testimonies of how people came to know Jesus. And I guess that Jesus just spends all his time basically saving people. That's what I've been doing at the moment. I'm still reading the Old Testament. Right now I'm reading the book of Joshua at the moment, which is like, it's fine, but I don't really enjoy the Old Testament as much as the New Testament, because like the New Testament has Jesus, and Jesus is like healing people and fighting demons, and so for that reason the New Testament is way more exciting than the Old Testament. But like, it's still important to understand the Old Testament because it's important for like context of like the whole story. To understand the context of the whole story of Jesus, you need to understand the Old Testament. So I am reading the book of Joshua at the moment, but I really prefer the New Testament because the New Testament is like, it's exciting and thrilling because it's like Jesus and he's fighting demons and he's rebuking demons and he's like cursing fig trees. Did you hear about when Jesus cursed the fig tree? Jesus cursed the fig tree because there was a fig tree. Jesus came across a fig tree and it didn't have any figs on it. It only had leaves. So Jesus cursed the fig tree so that it would never bear fruit again. And the fig tree immediately like withered and died. And the reason why Jesus cursed the fig tree is because like so that it would not deceive anyone else with the promise of figs, where there were no figs. Like, it didn't have any figs, it only had leaves. So that's why Jesus cursed the fig tree, so that it would not deceive anyone else with the promise of figs. And so, thank you for getting ready with me for church today. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.